Good evening, this fine Sunday night, afternoon, depending on where you're at. I know you're looking forward to seeing Kat Hobson, but she has been away for 2 weeks and she'll be back next week, and I'm kind of filling in for her. My name is Rick McCallum. I am the founder of Hollywood Ghost Hunters, the group that has Kane Hodder and Ari Mihailoff. We're all people who did horror movies. But that's enough about me, because tonight's guest, you'll automatically recognize if you watch his show, is the man who is behind the scenes and takes care of all the technical stuff, and that's Carl Albertson. Carl, pop in.
Hello, Rick.
Hi, Carl. Glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on here with you tonight.
Well, I've watched this show because Kate's a very good friend. Kat is a very good friend of mine, and then all of a sudden I find out you've got all this paranormal experience, and I said, "Get that guy on here. I want to talk to him."
Right. Yeah,
So,
I've been, well, in the paranormal experience, I've been paranormal investigator now for 11 years. Before that, paranormal always interested me and stuff. And how we got started in the paranormal. And my group is a little different than most groups. Like, you're ghost hunters. You're all horror movie actors or stuntmen or stuff like that, right?
yeah.
Okay. Mine is my pastor, Pastor Gary, and you'll know him if he pops in as the paranormal pastor,
Oh, cool.
right? And he right now is 79 years old. He's one of the oldest paranormal investigators there is out here, right?
Yeah.
But he used to work as the county commissioner or county zone commissioner in Caldwell County, right down 13 miles from where I'm living now. I used to live in Hamilton, Missouri. So this group out of Kansas City, Dusk to Dawn, paranormal investigators, called our courthouse and wanted to investigate it. Our courthouse was built in 1898, and it was the third courthouse. The first two burnt down, right? So in order for them to be in the courthouse, they had to have somebody there with them that worked at the courthouse. So Pastor Gary asked me, he said, "Would you like to come down here and see how these paranormal investigations go?" So me and him was down there. And I'll tell you what, I had seen stuff in that courthouse growing up and over the years, but with them, a lot of things just started interesting me. So they came up a couple more times and everything. And Jimmy McVeigh, the founder of Dusk to Dawn, told me and Gary both, "You guys ought to start your own paranormal team because you got this courthouse and you guys aren't scared. You're trying to figure out what it is and what we're seeing and everything." So that's how I started the CC Paranormal Team, CCPT, which stands for Caldwell County Paranormal Team. And we investigated the courthouse for quite a long time and stuff. But that's how I got started in the paranormal.
Well, did you find anything inside the courthouse?
Yes, we did. Talking about Dusk to Dawn, the first time they were there. Now you got to remember, okay, let me explain a little bit. The courthouse built in 1899 or 1898. The other one burnt down in 1896, burnt all the records for Caldwell County completely up. There were no records, right? So, and growing up there, Gary lived in the area. I lived in Kingston, the town of the courthouse, right? Little bitty deal. We used to break into the courthouse when we were little kids. But anyway, Dusk to Dawn was there, and two of them went upstairs to a room, and me and Gary was down there with the other group, and they came down And they said, we saw something. And me and Gary went, what'd you see? And they started explaining what they saw. They saw a man with a fedora on, a long coat with plaid pants on, right? They described exactly the prosecuting attorney that was there for 40 years in that
Wow.
courthouse. I knew him when I was little. They described him to a T. And that's when I went, well, there's really more to this paranormal. We got to figure out. Gary would also do some janitor work in that courthouse. And he whistled in the courthouse. Over the time period, he would go in the mornings, and the ladies in the courthouse would say, was you here earlier, Gary? We heard whistling. And Gary goes, no, I just got here. So they have a whistler in that courthouse now.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I mean, there's a lot of history there and stuff. Right in front of that courthouse is where the oh my God, got so much information I can't remember the name of the group back in the 1800s that raided the town. They raided and shot a bunch of people out in front of the courthouse.
Was it Jesse James and his guys?
No, it was the Jayhawks, the Jayhawkers from Kansas, the Kansas Jayhawks, what they call, or Kansas Hawks, Bleeds, whatever. They came into town. But what we're really known for down there for history, Caldwell County in Missouri was created in 1836 for one purpose, to give to the Mormons, because they were in independence in jail and doing bad stuff down there. So the governor said, we're creating Caldwell County. You guys can go up there and be free as long as you don't mess with the settlers that are already up there. Right?
Yeah.
1836 to 1838, 2 years. There was over 50,000 Mormons in Caldwell County.
Wow.
Okay? They were known for walking up to you and saying, those hogs are mine, God told me, and take them. If you tried to stop them, they would kill you. This is all. Yeah. So in 1838, on October the 30th, the governor issued an executive order to eradicate all Mormons out of Caldwell County. And you know what the word eradication means?
Yeah, it sounds like it might be harder than it sounds.
It sounds like this. You tell them to leave, offer them an amount for their land. If they don't accept them, shoot them. You could legally kill them. Okay? There was a group down at Hans Mill, just right out of, it's in Caldwell County, down on Shoal Creek, right? They had stolen a brass cannon from the Chillicothe militia. So on April the 30th, the same day he issued the executive order, the Chillicothe militia, the Gallatin militia, raided Hans Mill and shot and killed 17 of them, men, women, and children. It's called the Hans Mill Massacre. You can look it up on YouTube, internet, wherever you want. It talks about it. But I have investigated down there. I've heard voices. They said their bodies were thrown in a well. Nobody knows where that well is. And this is something you and me talked about the other night after the show was over, was the use of dowsing rods.
Yeah.
with dowsing rods, and 4 different people at 4 different times went to the exact same location in a field where the dowsing rods led us to the well. 4 different people.
Well, that's pretty impressive that they all four went to the same spot.
It did. I mean, and everything. They even tried digging out there. But being down there on that creek and all these years of it flooding, raining, the silt could be 15 foot deep
Yeah.
before the top of a well, you know. So it's hard to tell. But that's how basically I got started in the paranormal.
What about that stuff happening was the thing that pointed you to go become paranormal investigator?
The thing that got me really is, like I said, growing up, I seen a lot of things I couldn't explain. I was 19 years old. Yeah. I was in the army, came back, was down at my grandfather's, Papa's house, and he was dying of cancer and stuff, and he passed away. That night, I was down there staying. Yeah, I'm still doing active investigations, April. That night, I was staying there and slept in his bed and woke up with him standing in full apparition at the foot of my bed.
That's one of the most familiar things that I hear from people. I mean, they always say, and it's usually like your grandfather died, you're in California, and he died in New York, and you didn't know about it, but you'd wake up in the middle of the night, he'd be standing at the end of your bed. And I've heard people say that to me dozens of times. So that doesn't surprise me with yours either.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that, just like down there at Papa's house, his half brother, Uncle Bill, who always came up to quail hunting season, had 2 Brittany dogs and everything. He reminded you of Andy Griffith. He had those Wellington boots on with that pant leg stuck up over the top of it on one side, right?
What?
Big man, 6'2", probably 280.
That's
He
a big
always
man.
he always wrestled with me, right? He used to chew Red Man chewing tobacco. So growing up, you always want to be like the big guys, you look up to. So he gave me some. So I put it in my mouth and start chewing on it, spit a couple of times, kind of going, yeah, this is, crap. He hauls off and hits me on my back and made me swallow it.
Oh,
Oh my God, I turned every shade of green you could imagine, getting that stuff puked out. So I was really ticked off at him, right? So he pulls his Ford truck up with his little bitty trailer, camping trailer on the back of it, and gets out there to start jacking it down, right? Well, I'm standing on the other side, going, okay, I'm over this now and everything. I'm about 14. And all of a sudden, he quit jacking. He raised back a little bit and he put his hands on my shoulder, right like this, right? Trying to hold me back, but his thumbs were around my neck. And he started squeezing. It took everything I had to put my hands up and push this gigantic man back. When he did, he fell to the ground. He was having a massive heart attack.
oh, that's why he was grabbing onto you to get your attention.
No, grabbing on so he wouldn't fall over
Oh,
over
okay.
the top of that. So I ran inside, got Pawpaw and the housekeeper to call 911 and get him down there. By the time they got down there, he had a widowmaker. Right? Well, nobody told me he had a heart condition. Gary's
Did
doing
anybody else know
good.
it?
They all knew it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Right? So we went through all that. Well, Uncle Bill's sister, half sister, had a big estate sale. So mom, my brother and sisters and all that, we go down there. I didn't want to go down there. Now, when Uncle Bill died, I refused to go to his funeral because I thought I did it when I pushed him back, right? They kept saying, no, he had the heart condition, blah, blah, blah.
Well, how old were you when that happened?
14.
And nobody
So,
told you that you didn't have anything to do with it?
right. So we're down there. I'm sitting in a lounge recliner outside their house. Now, when Uncle Bill would come up quail hunting, he brought my Aunt Ruby and Uncle Floyd's adopted son up with him, Robbie, right? I knew Robbie. I'd seen Robbie thousands of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're down there. This is 6 months after Uncle Bill had died, right? This truck pulls up, this Ford truck pulls up, the door opens up, this guy gets out, and I'm sitting there looking, and I see these black Wellington boots with one pant leg up over the top, and he come walking towards me, and I'm sitting, Mom said I turned white. I crawled back in that chair as far as I could get, just shaking, because in my eyes, it was Uncle Bill.
Yeah.
He looked just exactly like him. And I had seen that boy 1,000 times. He didn't look nothing like him. So it's things like that when the paranormal started, I was like, I got to find out more. I'm one of the ones, especially in our team, I'm the one that tries to debunk. And when I can't debunk it, I send it to people to say, can you debunk this? So.
Yeah, you got to try and debunk it. Because once you go through all the debunking and it's still there, then you got something to talk about.
Right. Then it's if you debunk it, it's normal. If you can't debunk it, it's paranormal.
Yeah. It's was that the one thing that really got you into the paranormal?
After when we were invited down there and went through those investigations, I was like, we need to do more of this. So we did the courthouse. We did the cemeteries down there. Then we came up, Gary did some research and his wife Sue, and down in the country, there was a cemetery called the Cox Cemetery. This is when the paranormal comes together real close here. Sue did the research of the people buried there, right?
Yeah.
Comes to find out, Enoch Cox was my great, great, great grandfather.
And you didn't know that before?
I didn't know it. His brother was Pastor Gary's great, great cousin.
Sound more like Mayberry every day.
It does. But now here's the neat part. So the lady that was mowing it down there quit mowing it because she had a baby rattlesnake climb up on her mower deck. Right? We're out in the boonies. I mean boonies. When you investigate out there, bugs is the only thing you hear. That's it. So we got a hold of them and got it transferred over to us. So we started doing all our investigations out there. We've even done 2 campouts with Denise and Ron Pridemore out there.
Really?
Yeah. But the history there again, you're in the Mormon fighting area. You're in the borderline of the Civil War battles, which we had somebody out there that seen off in the pasture down by the creek. What they could see in their mind was a battalion of soldiers. But the funniest thing about it is we would go to the sheriff's department there in Kingston and let them know we was going to investigate all night out there. right? In case somebody called, and did all that stuff. And they go, that's fine. Hi, Jeremy. They
Hi,
go, that.
Jeremy.
I said, you guys can come out with us anytime. And they went, nope, we don't go out there. And I said,
Good.
go down that gravel road. And they said, no. I said, why? And they go, you can ask the sheriff and any one of these deputies. They have seen soldiers on horseback. They have seen horse-drawn wagons. And they have seen Indians.
Sounds like a busy place.
It is. We get a lot of deals down there, from Civil War to Indians to the Mormon faith people down there. We even have a tombstone down there that has the words on it, unknown Indian.
Huh.
You go around that tombstone with your dowsing rods, and they will cross, and you have to drop them because you can't pull them apart.
Really?
Yep. It happens.
I never
every
use
time.
dowsing rods. I got nothing against them except for whenever I pick up the dowsing rod, they immediately go and point at me. Every time.
You have a lot of positive energy in you.
I remember I told Kat and Lori when we were in Scotland, they said, why don't you use these? I said, I'll tell you what's going to happen when I pick this up. These things are going to cross over and point right at me. They said, really? I said, watch. Stand there and they go, whoosh.
Yeah. I mean, that's why when I tell people how I use them, right? You see a lot of people that hold them straight out.
Yeah, you showed me that before. Show that to everybody because that's kind of fascinating.
Okay. When you hold them straight out, I can move my arms and move the rods. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to drop them down to about a 15 to 20% incline. Right?
Yeah.
Even holding my arms here to get them to move. I'd have to really turn my hands. Right?
Yeah.
Now, see if this works. Are there spirits here tonight? Now you see them crossing.
Yeah.
Okay? We just defied gravity. It's pulling the rods up.
Yeah, I got to try that because that would seem to me to be a much stronger answer when they have to go up against gravity.
It is. Well, you stop and think about it. Okay. Straight out like this, I can push it anywhere I want. Right?
Yeah.
Now I put it at that incline coming up. That's gravity. Pulls back down. But you notice when I was doing it, they come up and stayed.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try that.
Because I hold it on my finger, around my finger, and down in the palm of my hand. I'm not got my thumb on it doing twisties or anything.
Well, I was pretty lucky. Kat was there, Lori was there, Mikey was there when we were in Scotland, and we met this one group, Highland Paranormal.
Uh-huh.
And the one girl there was super good with those things, and so was Liam Sham, the guy who ran the place. But they were inside this thing called Clava Cairns, which is all the built-up rocks. And that's where they buried everybody there. A lot of it is from Outlander, too. This one thing that stands up, you touch it, you go back in time. I kept trying to go back in time, it wouldn't take me. But anyway, they were both really good with the dowsing rods. So, and actually, Kat's really good with them also.
Yeah, you'll have to ask them when you go back over there. When they pull them out, see if they hold them straight out.
No, they hold them straight out.
Ask them to put them down at about a 15 to 20 degree angle and ask that same question.
I'm going to.
And see if they start coming up, remind them. Coming up is defying gravity.
Well, both these people would be well aware of what was going on because Liam Shand is the head of Highland Paranormal back there, and the girl, I can't remember her name right now, real pretty blonde girl who is amazing with the rods. So, but yeah, that's an interesting concept. I've never seen anybody do that. I do want to try that now.
Yeah, it's like I said. Used to, I would hold them like this and put them in the knuckle, and all I'd
Yeah,
have to do is just slightly move my hand a little bit, and they would cross.
yeah.
Now I'm going to tell you about dowsing rods and some of the devices I use.
Well, I,
Okay.
I was getting ready to ask you that.
Okay. I use a lot of them in conjunction with each other. Okay. I use, and I know a lot of people aren't big on apps. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But we use the app called EchoBox 3.
Hmm.
Okay. It has no words in it, it's phonetic sounds, 6 banks of it. The guy, the big beard that created it, Denise got a hold of it, and Denise tears it all apart to see if there's anything in there that can make it work, right?
Yeah.
And everybody goes, okay, well, you're going to get on your location on your phone and stuff like that. Okay. As I told earlier, I lost my real phone. I have a bunch of old phones that I have the app on. They can't get signal, right? I,
But
I
did it work one time?
It works. Okay. EchoBox. We use it. And how I really got hooked on that was I was working in Kingston there at the courthouse with Gary one night, and this was in December, kind of cool. Yeah, April, you're right. It's clear. So I went to the graveyard on the north end of town, Kingston Cemetery, right? And that's where my grandfather, Papa, was buried. So I pulled up in the van, shut it off, rolled the window down at his grave. Okay. And I sat there and I said, Carl Llewellyn, can you hear me? Nothing through the echo box. Not a thing. I said it 4 or 5 more times. And I sat there, you dummy. Think you had never called your papa by his real name. Never. Because we both were named, I was named first name after him. Right. So I
Yeah.
was always called another name. Nobody knew that other name unless you were in our family or real close friends. Okay. So I sat there and I went, Papa, can you hear me? And a voice came over the echo box that said, hi. And I went, I know that voice. I said, do you know who this is? 2 seconds later, it came through going, Butch. Butch was my nickname Papa gave me because he could never give me a butch haircut.
That's pretty cool.
So it came through. I took that recording to my older brother and my older sister. And I said, I want you to listen to this. They listened. Their mouths dropped wide open. They said, that's Papa's voice. And I went, yeah, it is. So
It's
yeah,
very cool, Carl. It's
that the Echo Box, and then with Ron and Denise, I got hooked up with Ron and Denise Pridemore. We do a lot of investigations together. I helped them for a year at the Sally House as a tour guide up there. Me and Ron, he had his Echo Box going on his tablet. I had Echo Box going on my phone downstairs in the basement with a group of people, and these two started talking to each other. So we started calling it dueling echo box.
I've never seen that. That's pretty cool.
And we did it not only at the Sally House, we did it at Melbourne Manor up in Iowa that we investigated 4 times. We've done it in Ashmore Estates over there in Illinois. We've been there 4 times. I've been down to Paragould, Arkansas and investigated down there. It's done it everywhere we've been at. But back to what I was saying, I use more equipment. I'll use the echo box and have it sitting down on a table with a speaker. I'll have the dowsing rods and ask a yes or no question. And about the time the dowsing rods would give me the no answer, the echo box would say no. Or give me the yes. So I use a lot of them in conjunction with each other and stuff. And we use necrophonics. Hello, No Sleep Forever. How are you doing? That sounds like me for the last few days. No sleep forever. I've been busy, busy, busy.
Well, I'll get a chance to sleep forever. So
yeah, and then maybe we can get some of these answers that we're looking for.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to be the most miserable ghost that ever lived.
You know, okay, I got a real good question for you.
Let her rip.
You know, we're always waiting to find out if this is real. Spirits talk to us. How many paranormal investigators have passed away in the last 20 years that have never came back to tell if it's real or not?
That's a really good question. I never thought of that. But then again, I don't really know of any places where any paranormal investigators died either.
Yeah, but like you said, you could be thinking of somebody in California and I'm here in Missouri and they start talking to me. To me, it wouldn't matter where they died. It would matter of, okay, is so-and-so going to come back and tell me like they said they were going to? Or are they not allowed to come back and tell us?
Well, that would be pretty good if you actually got an answer off of that. Yeah, I'd like to hear that if you tape it.
It would make sense. The investigators that spent most of their lives investigating ghosts or UFOs, and they pass away. Spirits talk to us. You would think they'd come back and say, guess what? This is real.
Well, you know who I would like to see if I could get in contact? I know Kat would because she knows him. I know him, and you've probably known him from being on the show. Is Stanton Friedman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him. I mean, he was a wonderful man.
Yeah, and like April said, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
You would think they would be one of the first ones to come back and tell us.
Well, maybe they saw the chance to get to the better place.
Yeah, maybe they give you a choice. Go back and tell them, and then you go the other direction.
I don't want to go the other direction.
Yeah, you know, or whatever. But I mean, that in the paranormal, since I got into it, that's been one of my pet peeve questions is why haven't they?
Well, that's a very good question. I really never thought about that. I'm going to have to try that if I find a place where somebody's passed. Yeah, that'd be a good question.
I mean, it's a question we've asked it on my show. I do a Paranormal Nation radio show and stuff. I've asked it on the Paranormal Pride with Denise and Ron and even Kat. I've asked her a couple of times. And it's like, you know, nobody has that answer because we don't know what's out there after we're gone. We got an idea.
I'm trying to remember this guy's name. I knew him real well. Matter of fact, he and I had the same birthday, and we're like both about the same size and everything else. Can't remember his name though, but he was a lunatic. I mean, he was a lot of fun, and he passed away. He'd be somebody I'd try and scare up, you know?
Hmm. I mean, there's so many questions out there in the paranormal field.
Well, let me ask you, what was the first time you caught something that, you know, scared you a little bit?
Hmm. The thing that really scared me for just a little bit was at the Sally house. I was upstairs in what they call the baby room, where all the things go when ghost hunters were there, the bears were spinning around, all this stuff, right? And everything. And I'm laying on my stomach with another lady in there that's down. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And we're investigating, listening, and talking. And all of a sudden, I feel something on my inner thigh of my leg. I told her, I said, I'll be right back. I got to get up and go in this other room. I got up and got in the other room, and I had three gigantic scratch marks down the inner side of my leg. I mean, deep enough there was blood
That's
driplets coming out.
that's generally not a ghost.
Yeah.
I get a question all the time on other podcasts, and it's they'll always say, "I think I have a demon in my house," and I go, "You don't." And they said, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because if you have a demon in your house, they get right in your face. I mean, you'll know they're there. If you think there's something there, they're not."
Exactly. I mean, I had talked, and then after that happened, I talked to the Pickmans who lived there at the house and got Tony off to the side and asked him if he'd ever been attacked in that area. And he said, yes, he had too, and stuff. And I went, okay. But other than that, I really haven't I've been in an abandoned hospital in downtown Kansas City where we had to clear the building before we investigated it with guns. That's how bad it was. We had to clear the building
A lot of
because
bad
we had
folks
all
in
the
there.
homeless people and drug addicts that would be in there. We found rooms with piles of needles,
Wow.
right? We blocked off two areas that the elevators were open and you could have fell 30 feet. But we got stuff in there um, that was some of the weirdest stuff I had heard, I had smelled. We had one area, hi, Cat. We had one area down there at the bottom that was 8 feet long that when you walked into it, you would smell kerosene. Walk 8 feet, no kerosene smell all night long. And this building hadn't been in use in 25 years.
That's strange.
Oh, I mean, it's stuff
Well, you,
like that. It's different. But then
well,
you
you
was
know,
talking about everybody has these people come up and say, I got a demon in my house. How do we know it's not a demon? How do we know it's not a ghost? Could be an alien. How many times talking and you listen to some of the spirit boxes and I listen to Echo Box. How many times do we think it's not a spirit, it's an alien spirit communicating to us?
yeah, and you know what else too? You never know how far back the spirit could be. I mean, could be 1,000 years ago.
Right. Especially when you go to Scotland and Ireland. You're not getting the spirits that died 100 years ago. You could be getting the spirits in the old deals there that are 1,000, 1,500 years old.
Yeah. People ask me all the time, what's haunted in Scotland? And I go, Scotland. The whole damn place is haunted. I said, and you know why? And they said, no. I said, did you ever see Braveheart? They said, yeah. I said, there was battles like that all the time between the English and the Scots.
Right.
And the Scots didn't really have the same kind of armament the English did. They came out with shovels and backhoes and scythes to fight the English. And I was telling somebody it's a different deal when you're having face-to-face battles. I mean, you talk about some energy left over.
Right.
That's the place.
I mean, yeah, you got the whole country there. But you look in our country here, especially south of the Mason-Dixon line, on the East Coast, down south and everything, where the biggest Civil War battles were held. I would love to investigate down in those areas.
Well, why don't you?
Well, I got to find some time here working my butt off on our food truck and building this building we got up there now. As soon as I do that, I want to take a trip down to Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. And with my wife. I heard her in the background.
I'm hearing voices. Run, Carl, run.
Yeah. But you get down in there and get around where a lot of those battles up, the big battlefields, the little battlefields. And I use night vision cameras. I have a IR light that shines where I can see up to 400 feet with my camera.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
John Long, down here in Springfield, Missouri, part of Four State Paranormal, builds IR lights.
Tell him to give me a call.
I'll get a hold of John, and David Glidden is who it is.
Because I've got a ton of IR lights, and just to be honest, they suck.
Oh,
they're not strong enough. They're just.
I've got one that's about this big with 25 lights in it that John built. Yeah. I can see 20 to 25 feet in front of me with it.
Yeah.
Now the other one I got is it's like your big heat lamp spotlight lamps you use in a shop. He took the center out and put the big IR lights in it. It plugs into 110. What I do is I made a ammo box with a 12 volt 22 amp battery, like a motorcycle battery in it, with my 110 converter. I can wear it on my shoulder and plug it in and carry this big light and look through my camera.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've got several that I had made for me, and they work okay. But the little one that came, I have two Sonys, right? Night vision, and I only got the one infrared that came with the camera. But the other one I bought the other one used, and the guy didn't have that anymore. And that little one right on top works great. They came with the camera, but I've gotten all these different people built me stuff, and they just ain't that good.
Yeah, this one square one like that will fit on top of the camera. And
well, Sony has its thing where it's the only thing you can put in there is a Sony product.
Right.
So
it's amazing what a 3D print machine will do.
I don't have one of those cars.
No, but it comes with it. It clips into that. Now it's powered by a 9-volt battery in it. So it's got its own power supply. You got the off and on switch on it. So you turn your camera on. I've got a Sony Vision night cam too. And you turn it on, night vision, and turn that on, and it goes from seeing 4 to 5 feet in front of you to 20 feet in front of you, crystal clear.
Yeah, that's what my little Sony, the one on top of my Sony, does that.
Yeah.
But I can't put it,
Yeah, this big one, I mean, it'll shine a block.
Yeah, that's something. I usually just borrow Mikey's stuff. Mikey comes over, he looks like he's bringing stuff to start a fight with Russia or something. He's got so many pieces of equipment.
Well, that's kind of like me and Gary when we get together. We've got SLS, portable SLS. Of course, we both carry a lot of phones that have the echo box on it and external speakers. The dowsing rods, Sony tape recorders is what I use. What else do we carry in there? Oh, some of the original, they're not a K2, but they're work like a K2. They're the old ghost meters.
Yeah.
Got a couple of those, some cat balls in there in the equipment.
I
And
hate cat balls. People put these dark round balls on the ground in a dark place, and I need knee surgery already, and I have
yeah,
stepped on a couple of them.
but we use them once in a while. And then, of course, we definitely use our regular cameras to snap. Gary is real big on snapping 500 pictures in a night
Wow.
and go through them. And I mean, we get stuff. I don't know if I've got the picture saved here, but we use trail cams.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Okay. We
Mine's
have
like
them.
twice that size. It's like that big.
Yeah, I've got big ones, I got small ones, everything. But we had them set up down at our cemetery, right?
Yeah.
And mainly to catch the people that were going in and out of the cemetery to see what they were doing. But one night, it snapped a picture. Gary got a hold of me and said, "You got to see this picture." And I said, "Okay." So I get down there. It's a picture the trail cam took. I compared it to a picture taken 20 seconds before it to compare the limbs that were in front of the camera, the stalks of the weed and different things like that.
Hmm.
Two of them weren't in the second picture, but there was how do I say it without, I had to find it. It had a picture of a horse, a misty white horse. You had the mane, the horse's head shape. You had the rider's foot, leg down on the side of it. A lot of people seen it and everything. And I said, now there's one of the coolest pictures I have ever seen.
Yeah, that sounds like it is. By the way, that guy I was trying to remember that I had one that passed away. His name was Scott Grunwald.
Oh, yeah.
And Scott was a great guy. I ghost hunted with him a few times out here.
Right.
And Kat always said that we were twins from different mothers.
I'm going to go see it real quick and everything if I can find that picture. Because I know
Yeah.
you haven't seen it.
No, I'd like to see it. You know,
Let me get over
I've
here.
got a few good pictures in my day. I showed this last one to Kat, and it was in
Right.
the south. It was the vaults underground in Scotland, and we were in a
Uh-huh.
long corridor. And they always say they're the famous woman in white. They always see her at the end of the corridor. So I hollered down there. I said, "All right, I'm going to start taking some pictures. You know, if you're still here, can you show yourself?" Right. So I take the first picture and it's empty, nobody down there, and it's in a corridor. Nobody else can get in. It's it's all rock, right, underground. And the second one, it
Right.
looks like a shape of a person with a head on it, right? And I looked down and I went, "Can you come closer?"
Right.
And the next picture is about halfway to me, right? And I said, "Okay, can you come even closer?" And then it looks like a tube of light going straight over my head. And this is underground with no lights
Right.
anywhere. So that was pretty interesting. That's pretty
There's the
cool.
picture. There's the picture.
That sure looks like a horse.
Do you see the rider's leg by this big white stem sticking up, coming down behind it?
Yeah, I
You
do.
can see
Actually.
the foot.
Yeah. You can actually see where he's
That was
sitting.
caught on a trail. Yeah, that was caught on a trail cam.
That's pretty cool. Got to hang
That
on
was
to
at
that.
our cemetery. Oh yeah, I do.
My question would be, why is
But
there
yeah,
man,
I mean,
a guy riding a horse in the cemetery?
that's where the deputy sheriff seen they saw cavalry on horseback.
That makes sense then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one that always gets
Yeah.
me is people go to, like, say, Romania, right, to ghost hunt. And they go into a place from the 1300s or the 1400s, and they're speaking English and they're trying to get answers. You know, they're not going to understand it.
No, they don't. That's just like, okay, we go out to our cemetery where we believe there's a mass burial of Indians. If I go in there speaking modern English, the odds are they don't know what I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
because they spoke their own language.
Yeah. Well, you know that my group, me and Kane and RA, ghost hunted with the Ghost Adventures guys.
Right.
And at the time, we were the only ones that ever actually ghost hunted with them. Usually they just say there's stuff in there, go look. But we were
Yeah.
actually ghost hunting with them. And we got a bunch of stuff. It was pretty cool episode. But we got invited to come back to the Pico house about a year later. So RA and I went. Kane was off doing a movie. We got down there, and when I was there with Nick Groff, we were down underneath, and I was getting all kinds of K2 hits and everything off of this, replying to what I was saying. And when we got there, nothing, zip. And then it dawned on me, the whole thing about the Pico house is that the Chinese, the Tong, started a riot when they killed the Irish cop. And then all the Hispanics and the whites turned on the Tong and attacked him. And it was right outside the Pico house. So I asked this girl, well, first off, I just asked, I said, is there anybody here that can speak Spanish? And this girl goes, I can. I said, do me a favor. After I ask a question, wait like 10 seconds, and then you ask it in Spanish. And we were getting all the answers in Spanish just by using something that somebody there might have understood. I see movement on your upper corner.
Yeah.
Remember, it was closed and then it was open.
What's this?
That's that. There at the cemetery. First it was closed, and then the next picture it was open with a shadow in front of it.
Oh yeah. See if I can bring this up.
Yeah.
I'm waving at her, but you're not paying attention.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, that's my wife Tammy.
Oh, I
Okay.
figured that.
You see at the bottom, right there.
It's closed.
Yeah.
It's closed, right? Okay. Now go back.
And there's a shadow in the front of it.
Right after that,
Well, that's a shadow for sure.
no, the door is open.
Well, what about on the right side of the door?
That's Pastor Gary's shadow.
No, it was a shadow he caught.
Oh, that's the shadow. Well, you can tell it's coming down. I would almost say that was him.
I mean,
Well,
that's,
no, he would have been taking
He
the
would have been
picture.
bigger.
Taking the picture.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and he would have had his hands up in front of him. So that's
Well, he
probably
would have
got him
been-
taking a picture.
He would have been over here back behind this part.
Mm-hmm.
The shadow was coming in from there.
The camera is hanging in a tree.
And the camera is hanging in a tree. So, but the door is open. Before it was closed.
Yeah.
That's only one of them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we do a lot. I hate to say, but we investigate a lot of cemeteries. And people go, why would you investigate a cemetery? Who wants to stay there? You'd be surprised how many souls are still there.
Yeah, I had one of the weirdest things in the world. You know, I've been ghost hunting for over 50 years.
Right.
And we were up, Kat was there, and, you know, Lori and Mikey and the people from Highland Paranormal. And we'd walked like 9 miles, and my knees are not set for that, right? And I was looking around for some place to sit down, and I couldn't find anything. And I was getting ready, my legs were so wobbly, I was getting ready to fall down. And I looked over, and there was a thing that looked like a coffee table. And I knew it was a tombstone, but I just said, hey, I mean you no disrespect, but if I don't sit on this, I'm going to fall on it, right? So I sat down, and the whole time I'd been there, I have my K2 out. It never flashed one single time in 2 hours. As soon as I sat on it, it went all 5 lights. And I said, are you mad that I sat on your tube? Boom, 5 lights again. I mean, instantly. I've never seen anything like that. I said, well, my knees are really, really sore. Can I just sit here for like 30 seconds? And then it went to 2 lights and 3 lights, you know, wiggling back and forth like it was considering it. And then after 30 seconds, the 5 lights came up again. I said, are you telling me to get off? It went bloop, 5 lights. And I said, I'll tell you what, this girl who was a guest of Highland Paranormal was standing there. She's going, blue, right? No, I've never had anything answer instantly to everything. And I said, I'll tell you what, if you do 5 lights again right now, I'll get out. Boom, instantly. She goes, what are you going to do? I said, getting up.
That's right. That's
So,
all you can do. But one of the weirdest things with Echo Box that ever happened was I was doing my Paranormal Nation radio show one night. And when I first started it, I would use equipment running. And I'd ask them questions. I would read questions in the comments, and stuff like that, right? Well, I had one of my followers that had been following us for a long, long time, right? She started asking questions in the comment. April that's in here right now, will probably remember that show. She started asking questions in the chat room about her brother that they couldn't find, right? He was what was he? Either a firefighter or EMT. He went hiking and they couldn't find him. This went on for 3 weeks. They couldn't find him. She was in one night and everything, saying they were going to go up there to the last location they knew he was going hiking at. So she started typing questions in the chat room. I had the echo box going with the speaker. I didn't even get to read the question out loud, and the echo box answered it. It told her, go right. Go right. What it was doing was they went up on this path that he always traveled. It came to a Y. Every time he went walking, he always went left. Always went left. Always went left. See, April remembers it. It said, go right. Go right. 40. Go right. They went right and went 40 yards and found his body laying off the side.
wow.
Okay. She came back the next week in the comments and said they found his body. It was right at the Y. And I said, there, folks, listen to that. That's from the viewer. And she sent me the post from the newspaper. This was in Denver, Colorado, up by Aspen, up in that area. I'm in Missouri. Like, I'm really going to look up that news, right? She sent me all the clippings where they had found his body. And I went, that was amazing. That show that night had tears brought by everybody in the comments, even me, when she was talking about it and stuff. But for them to have closure meant the world to me.
I bet you made the world for her too.
yeah, it did. It made the whole family. She said the whole family can't believe when she went up there and they said, we're going to go back down there and go a little further. And she said, no, we're going up here to the white and we're going to go right. She said, I had a device tell me to go right, is how she told them. So she took 3 of the special people up there that was with them to look for rescue people.
Mhm.
They went up there and started yelling that they had found his body, the
Wow.
remains of it. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was, like I said, April was in the chat that night. That's Denise's cousin and stuff. She was hearing it. I mean, if I usually did an hour and a half show, that night on there asking questions with everybody was a 3.5 hour show.
Yeah, I would guess so. There'd be a lot of questions coming in.
Oh, yeah, after that, because they heard it through the speaker before I could even read it. The spirit was reading the question.
That's very cool. You know, you've seen my promo that Kat made for me.
Mm-hmm.
The one that is so cool for me, I was in Balgony Castle, and I was sitting there, and the Scottish paranormal guys are asking questions. And finally, I said, "Can I ask a question?" They said, "Sure." And I'm sitting right next to it, and you can see the box, right next to me. I said, "Is anything in the castle we should be afraid of?" And it comes back with a deep voice with a Scottish accent. Goes, "The energy." It's like, okay, time to go.
But
Oh, by the way, can I pop in here for a second? April, I see that you said up there that you wanted to go to Scotland. You know, if you ever go, just hit me up and I can give you some pretty good ideas of where to go.
April will, but I think she's going to wait until all 7 of her boys are grown.
I hope to still be alive.
She has 7 boys. I love that girl to death. I have a lot of respect for her. But yeah, we'll do. April said we'll do. She'll get a hold of you.
Yeah. Well, I go
Now,
there every year, you know.
Yeah. Now, my question to you, and a lot of people have seen you on Cat Show and other podcasts and everything. How did you guys come up with Hollywood Ghost Hunters? How did that all start?
You mean the group or the
group? I know all of you worked together at different times.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. We were doing a movie in Mansfield Prison. And Kane and I were there for a couple of weeks, and then other people were in for a little bit here and there. RA came in for a few days. But I didn't know Kane liked ghost hunting, right? And he and I were all the way, I don't know if you've ever seen Mansfield, it's real long. We were way at the back of the jail. It was about 2 or 3 at night. Everybody else was gone, and we're walking back, and the only light there is moonlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're walking along, and Kane goes, "Why don't we ghost hunt?" I'm like, I never told him that I ghost hunted back then, right? And I said, okay. So we started trying to get stuff going, and all of a sudden I see him scooting away down the hallway because he'd seen a shape go across in front of him, and he was chasing after it. And I thought, all right, I've always wanted to start a group, and I've always had people that went backwards when they saw stuff. I got to get this guy. He goes forward. So that's where we started it. And then not long after that, we got on to be guests on Ghost Adventures. And then we started getting a lot more people, noticing that we do ghost hunt. So that's about where it all started.
Well, that's good. I mean, they've always seen you on shows and knew about that, but I really had never heard the story or paid that much attention to the story. That's why I was always curious.
Well, something weird happened there too. He was down on the main floor. I was up on the second tier. We were walking along together. And I walked into this one room, and it felt like somebody grabbed me and was just squeezing me. And I'm like, holy crap, what's going on, right? So finally I told Ken, I said, feels like someone's squeezing. It wasn't like they're trying to kill me, but you could feel that something was wrapped around you and squeezing you. I said, yeah, something's squeezing me up here. I don't know what the hell's going on. And he goes, well, mark it. He says, that way we can come back tomorrow during the daytime, right? I don't have anything to mark it with, right? So I'm trying to see something inside the cell that I'll remember. And I look up, and on the top of the door frame, there's an X in a black Sharpie, right? So we went back there, and I got other people, and a lot of the other people went, "Yeah, you do feel like someone's squeezing you." But what was really funny is a couple months later, I was watching Ghost Hunters, and they were there, and one of the guys walks up and he goes, "Man, this place feels like I'm getting squeezed," right? And he said, and Jason goes, "Well, mark it." And the guy reaches up with a mark, a Sharpie, and does the X right above the door. So the fact that all of us picked that same place out of all the cells there, what is it, like 1,000 of them?
Mhm.
I mean, that was pretty cool. So,
But I mean, some of the coolest things like Ashmore Estates over there in Ashmore, Illinois. Been over there 4 times and had a lot of different things happen. But one of the things that was hard for me to explain, hard for Ron Pridemore to explain, and a couple other people watching it. We were in a room that was set up kind of like the caretaker's room with a bed, a couch, and everything. One of the nicest room in the whole building, right? We was just sitting in there relaxing. I had the SLS camera facing the doorway, open doorway, right? So I'm sitting there watching it, and I seen a stick figure come up. And I looked at it, and I went, "This is interesting. It's on the flat wall. It's not on the door edge or nothing. It's on the flat wall, right?" So I yelled at Ron. Ron came over and sat down. So we're sitting there watching it and watching it. I'm not saying nothing to it, just watching it. So people would start coming in the room that was there to investigate too with us. And when they got to the door, we'd say, "Stop right there in the doorway." This stick figure would reach over and put its hand and act like it was tapping them on the head, right? It did this to 4 different people. So Tim comes in. We call him Bait. We always do experiments with Tim, right? We had him standing there thinking, okay, Spirit's going to tap him on the head. No, he reached down under his junk and started lifting up.
that's
Me
a bit
and Ron
friendly.
fell over. We're sitting there going, "What on earth?" Now explain that. It was on a flat wall where the SLS cannot form a stick figure at all.
Yeah.
And then reach over to a doorway and pat them as they come in.
You know who's really good with the SLS camera is Lori Dorsey.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, she's really good. And the one thing that was so funny, we were at Earth Castle in Scotland, and she's going around and she's marking the room and marking the room. And then I noticed she's straight across from me, and I'm thinking, okay, she's trying to get me on the SLS. And I look up about 10 minutes later, she's still. I said, "Lori, what are you doing?" She goes, "It won't map you." Maybe I'm one of the dead people. I don't know.
That's what's got me. It won't map you. A Ring camera won't have your photo on it
Twice.
twice.
Yeah.
It's like Mikey asked, "Are you a vampire?"
Mikey's so funny, though. You know what's so funny about the last time when we went to Scotland? We were in the Writers' Museum, and somebody slapped Cat in the back of the head.
Yep.
And then when we got out to the Culloden battlefield, which is very famous, one of the biggest battles between the English and the Scots, I'm standing next to her, and she goes, "Oh!" He grabs her stomach and bends over, and she goes, I said, "What's the matter?" She goes, "Oh, I think I've been shot." And she was having a hard time there for about an hour. So
April said, "Do you have protection, or did someone put protections on you?"
Excuse me. This is going to sound weird. I've had, excuse me, I've had people who are seers and they're, things like that, mediums, psychic mediums. And I've had more than one of them tell me do you have any idea how many people are around you? I said, yes, and I know they're not people. They said, you do? And I said, yeah, sure do. And they go, okay. You know, she said, never met anybody like that. But, you know, I said, let's put it this way. I have a lot of guardian angels because I fall down a lot. Right. But yeah, that's why I'm hoping to get my knee surgery here in the next 3 weeks, and then I can not fall down quite as often.
I hope it goes good for you. And knee surgery. Now my wife had her knee surgery a year ago.
Mhm.
Yeah. And she was only down like 10 days, 2 weeks at that much.
Well, the guy that told me, because I'm getting the whole knee replacement,
Yeah, that's what she
and,
got.
and he says to me, I said, how long am I going to be in the hospital? He goes, oh, we let you out the same night. And I
Yeah.
went, what? Because I remember everybody else had it. They stayed there like 3 or 4 days. I said, well, how long is the rehab? And he goes, well, when you wake up, we put you, you know, in the hallway and walk you up and down right away. I was like, geez, what are they overcrowded or something? Right.
Right.
But yeah, and then I asked him, I said, well, after this gets in here, am I going to be able to run fast? And he looks at me, he goes like this, he goes, could you ever run fast?
It depends on who was chasing me.
I said, yes, I could run fast, but it was 40 years ago.
Yeah. We all could 40 some years ago.
Yeah, 40 years ago, I could run.
But no, the knee surgery part is good. Now my wife's getting ready to go in and have her shoulder replaced. Shoulders take 4 to 6 months to
Yeah,
heal.
but the nice thing about that, you don't have to walk on them.
No, you don't.
And you can use the other arm.
Real good. She did real good with it. But
Yeah, I had to pay $4,000 for a special implant
ooh,
because my leg on the bottom kind of it goes out like this.
yeah.
You know, instead of being straight, it goes out this way, and they want to be able to get it all everything lined up like it's supposed to be.
Mm.
So, but I'm still ready because when I get to Scotland, listen to this, April, because I'm talking about Scotland. There's a place there. It's called the West Highland Way, and it's a trail. It's 96 miles, and I really want to do that. I wanted to do that for years, but with my knee being as bad as it is, you know, I was lucky. The girl that lived downstairs, her name was April. She was a stunt girl. We used to go hike in the mountains, and one day I'm going down the hill, and it's all sand, and my knee just gives out, and I go right on my face and start sliding. And fortunately, she grabbed me and pulled me back up. But you know, it's nice to have somebody who can pick you up and toss you around.
Right.
Yeah. Well, tell me, is there anything? What is the one thing that stands out the most for you in an investigation? I mean, if something that you saw or something that happened, which one has the blue ribbon?
Something I would see that always stands out to me. And everything. I've heard people seeing shadow people and stuff like that. I can't say I have. I have seen either in my mind, through my eyes, whatever you want to call it, at least 2 full color apparitions and everything. One was my grandfather, Papa.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, I was down at a friend's house. Her husband passed away, and I was redoing her office. We took everything out of there. I was putting one of the real nice oak floating floors in there for her, right? She went to get his lunch, and I'm in there snapping these down, grabbing them, snapping them down, you know, putting them in. And I stopped and I turned, and he was standing 4 feet away from me in blue jeans, white shirt, and a ball cap, just like he was when he died, right? And I looked at him, and he went like that and faded.
That's cool.
He was giving me the permission to finish doing what I was doing. We was real close friends.
That's very cool.
So It's stuff that you see. Here, I always look to see what the noise is, if I can figure it out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we have a food truck bus that
What
is
is the
haunted.
food truck rush?
It's a haunted food truck.
Oh, okay.
The owner before us committed suicide in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
But
ever
our
see him
food
in there?
bus, we have an actual 71 passenger school bus that I converted into a food truck with seating inside.
That is so cool.
You haven't ever seen the pictures of that?
I haven't.
I figured Kat had already told you about that. Let me bring up some pictures of our bus. Okay, come on, computer. Don't
No,
you
the
just
fact
love it when they go slow?
no, the fact that you put in seating inside in the bus for your truck
Yeah,
is
I
really
mean,
cool.
I re-
I've never heard of that before. I think
no,
you got
but
stuck.
I seen a couple in Texas done that way,
Yeah.
right? But as far as okay, let's see here. Where? Oh, okay. Here is there. I'll show you. This is why I was building it. I haven't updated any pictures yet on it and stuff. Come on, computer. Okay. Facebook. There we go. As you can find us on Facebook, look up the dinner bus, and
Oh, there it is.
the booths are set up like with the table, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And there is the kitchen area when I was building it.
Is that what it looks like now?
It looks better than that now. Let me go back and see here. Like I said, that was the building. Some of the equipment we have in there. There's the outside of the bus. I have it painted red, white, and blue with stars
When are
on
you
it.
driving it by my apartment?
Is where we've been asked. You wouldn't believe how many places we've been asked to go to and different things.
Oh, I
Here
believe
we
it.
are set up at Lake Viking or lake out here. This is what they call beach number 2 at this private lake, right?
Yeah.
There's no electricity out there. We are self-contained, generator, our own water supply, and everything. When we set up at this location at this lake, we do over $2,000 a day.
I think I'd stay there a lot.
We do in the summer. We go there all the time. Like I said, there's more pictures,
That's a
more
really
pictures.
great idea.
There you go.
There they are.
There is the 2 booths set up inside our bus where you can
I
come in
see,
and sit down and
I
order and
see
eat.
a customer.
Yeah, my wife sitting back there. But when we built it and the health inspector came in to look at it, he goes, "That's the coolest thing." He contacted us 2 days later and said, "You have the only bus in the state of Missouri, food truck wise, any food truck that has seating inside it."
Yeah, I'd never heard of that before. That is very cool.
Well, because we are a year round bus. Out here in the Midwest, you got food trucks that shut down Halloween. They're done until spring because they're not going to be out in the cold weather. Ours is heated and air conditioned.
Sounds like you did it right. That's for sure.
We did. And in less than 1 year, we opened the doors on it in, July, the first weekend in July this last year. We opened the doors on it. I had it all built by then, right? And ready. July, and here we are in February. We have made enough money that we paid off the bus, what we bought it for. We paid off all the equipment that we had put in it. The bus is completely paid off. Everything.
That's
So
pretty
now
cool.
our meat and products like that is the only expense we got in there, other than gasoline for the bus and gas for the generator and propane. So we have done quite a bit with it. And we had a guy up in the little town where we have it, where we're based out of in Gilman City up there now, at the convenience store come up to us and offered us $50,000 for it. And we turned it down.
It's worth more than that.
I thought about it after he said it, and I said, we should have sold it, and I could have bought another bus and did a better job now that I know what I got to have in it, and
Yeah, but
still
then
make money.
now you got a built-in competitor though if you give him the bus.
Yeah, but we don't worry about the competitor. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 food trailers and one UPS food truck type deal, step truck, in our area up here. And none of them can compete with us.
No, that when you can sit down and eat in one of those places, that's a big deal.
And all our food is freshly made. The only thing frozen are your French fries.
I hope you're going to cook them before you give them to me.
Yeah, I do. Drop them down in the fryer and season them. But the hamburger, our tenderloins, we take a tenderloin and cut it, and then we tenderize it. When are you coming to Wisconsin? I don't know. I got to go. I'm actually got to this summer, maybe taking the bus to Nashville, Tennessee for the second filming of Back from the Dead with Santiago Sorello. They may
I used to live in Nashville. I don't know if you knew that.
They may use the bus in the movie.
I would if I was them.
Well, they are. They're talking about it and stuff, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that would be interesting.
Well, they should use it for your catering. You should cater the movie.
Oh yeah, we can do that too. But yeah, we do catering. We do private events. We were out at the lake. They had a band at the clubhouse. They invited our bus only to feed the crowd out there, out of 7 other food trucks that's usually out there.
Well, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, we've got it hooked up pretty good around here, what we have built and been running for the last year. So
well, you're doing pretty good, man.
As long as I can do that, get back into more of my paranormal. Like I said, up in our area, I live in Gallatin, Missouri. You can look it up on the internet. It's the home of the bank that Jesse and Frank James robbed, that Jesse James shot the guy inside thinking he was somebody else and killed him. 6 miles up the road is Winston, Missouri, where the James gang robbed the train.
Well, they were busy little people, weren't they?
Yeah. And then you get into the town of Gallatin. We have one of 3 that's only left in this country anywhere, Squirrel Cage Jail.
What is that?
It's a jail that was made in a circle with the cells in it, and it would go around and it'd stop in one spot to let a prisoner out or put one in.
So it rotated?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
This one ran until 1975. And there's history inside there. It was built way back in the mid 1800s, right? Frank James stayed in it. There's been bandito motorcycle gang members in there. Even the sheriff that was sheriff in 1975, his son committed suicide and hung himself in one of those cells.
I think I would look around and find that one out. That
That
sounds
one
kind
I
of
know.
suspicious. That one's kind of suspicious.
That, well, it is and it ain't. The son was kind of on the 1970, the gay community wasn't big in this area. You're in Redneckville up here, right? Well, that's what he was, and he didn't want to tell his dad, and it was going to come out, and that. He hangs himself, and then a year later, the dad, the sheriff, goes out on a call out here in the country, gets out of his car and starts walking up to the house when a guy comes out and shoots him with a 30-06 and kills him.
You guys got a rough neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, this is rough country up here. This is all country boy country. But the Squirrel Cage Jail, I mean, for $50, you rent it all night long.
Huh.
It helps the community, the museum, and everything. I've investigated it probably 6, 8, 10 times.
You ever get anything?
Yep. Especially upstairs. You walk up the stairs and there's 2 cells up there they had for women. Right? With the echo box and sitting out there, I could hear cap. That's what they called the officers inside those cells. Cap. So we got all that. But what's cool about it, the history of it, the sheriff's house and the Squirrel Cage Jail are connected. So the sheriff actually lived in the house, right? You go upstairs on the 2nd floor in one of the rooms up there, and here are all the records way back in the 1800s and early 1900s of everybody who committed a crime, right? You had people sentenced to 3 days for stealing a chicken.
For stealing a chicken?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of times around here, you stole a chicken, you get hung.
Well, you know, when we were in Scotland, we went to one of these prisons, and Mikey was out there with his DR60 recorder, and he said, "What were you in here for?" And it goes, "Murder," just like that. It's like, well, okay then. But that was, they had a computer there that you could put your last name in and see if any of your family had ever been there.
Yeah.
And there was 5 of McCallums inside of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the guy that was, run the place, I said, yeah, there's 5 McCallums in there. And he goes, there's a lot more than 5, because they only went to 5 for each thing.
Right.
So evidently my family back then was a bunch of ne'er-do-wells.
But you get in these small communities out here in the Midwest, and you probably do out on the West Coast also. But around here, there's so much history. But you go to Caldwell County down here, and it's hard to find anything prior to 1898.
Why is it?
Anything at all.
Was that because stuff got burned?
Yeah, the courthouse got burned. When the first courthouse burned, it was suspicious. The county clerk and everything took all the deeds and everything out of the courthouse that night, and the courthouse burnt. So he told everybody the file was burnt. He went around to another county and filed he owned all these properties. So anyway, the second one, it burnt completely down, and every record in the courthouse was burnt completely.
Well, you know, if you happen to be Scottish, you're going to have a hard time finding anybody from 1700 back. And the reason is they used to keep all of those records in Stirling Castle.
Right.
And when the English attacked and took over the castle, they took all of the ancestry stuff with them, and we're going to take it back, you know, to England, and the boat sunk. So all those records for ancestry. Although I did find out it was related to two kings. That's kind of cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah. King Malcolm and King Malcolm II. Because McCallum and Malcolm are the same name in Scotland.
Yeah.
So
Now, a lot of history, a lot of experience. There's so much more to investigate. But as far as investigations go, I'm kind of a little tired of all the big name investigation places.
yeah.
I like to find new, interesting stuff
Yeah, me
because
too.
you've seen so much on YouTube or on TV. So and so group was there and heard this and seen that. As soon as you hear or see that, that's implanted in your brain. So you automatically, when you go there, you're going, okay, I'm waiting for them. Where they at?
See, that never bothers me because everything in my brain is about Farrah Fawcett, so I can have a good, clear thing about going.
Right.
But yeah, it's where would you go if you could go one place?
If I
And you
could
could
go one place,
anywhere in the world.
I would like to go to probably England, the UK, over in there to, like I said, castles and different things over in there because that's the old country.
Well, you
You
know,
know,
Scotland got 3,000 castles in it.
right, right. Now,
I got
Scotland, I would put it on my bucket list up there. Scotland, even Ireland. I would
Ireland.
love to go.
I've been to England. I've been to Ireland, and I've been to Scotland. And Scotland is the hands down winner.
Really?
Yeah, the people are so nice. It's so easy. You know, they have a thing over there, the right to roam law. And that means if you're going out in the middle of midnight, and you see a deserted castle and you want to go in and ghost hunt it, go ahead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just go. And if you fall down, you hurt yourself, and you go to court, the guy looks at you. So let me get this right. You went into a place you weren't invited to in the middle of the dark, and you fell over a rock and you broke your leg, and that's his fault? Dismissed.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be.
It should be like that.
Hello, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy Pino.
But yeah, that would be cool. I mean, and that's the bad thing about going in. There's old houses and buildings all around in the country out here, but you don't dare go into them, or you're going to be charged trespassing and
Yeah,
everything like that.
you don't get that in Scotland unless there's a sign up saying, no trespassing because somebody's living in there or something.
Right.
But I mean, any of the abandoned stuff, you walk in.
I know there was
Pretty cool.
the cemeteries we have around here now. They're pretty cool. Most of them want you out of there by dark or by 10 o'clock and everything. If you find one of the caretakers or the people who's out there taking care of it and talk to them, it ain't a problem to stay overnight or stay until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, there was this one cemetery that I used to go to. It was right in Edinburgh, and I've been there many times. Matter of fact, as you go in, you go from street level, and you walk up the stairs, right, and then you come out and you see the cemetery. Well, as I'm walking up the stairs, I look out in front of me, and about 30, 40 yards away, there's two girls standing next to this big tombstone. So I'm walking up the steps, and I look, and I see something out of the corner of my eye, and I see this guy had been laying on a rug or something over in the corner, and he gets up and he starts kind of creeping towards them. So I just kept walking. They got about 10 yards away, and I just went, "Hey, what are you doing?" The guy, "Ooh," he went zipping back, and I turned around and said, "Ladies, might be a good time to leave." So they said, "You're right." So I walked them out, and I left too. I just said, "Enough of this."
Oh, I know. There's a lot of places, but I'll tell you what's one of the coolest things to do, and I do in the summertime up here. We have a lot of old buildings, even right off the corner of the courthouse, where it's now the Gallatin Grundy County Title and Estate Office. That's where the bank was at that Jesse James robbed, right?
Wow.
So you have all these old buildings right up from it and down here. In the summertime, at night, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, I'll take a walk uptown with my tape recorder, with my echo box going, asking questions. You'll get words every now and then on it. Hello, who are you? And different things like that up there. But you're around all these buildings that were built in the late 1800s.
Now imagine yourself in Scotland, and there's buildings there from the 1300s.
Exactly.
Think how much stuff has gone on in them places.
Right. The closest you're going to get on age, well, I would say this would be the East Coast over by the ocean. But then if you stop and think about it, they got here in 1400s,
Yeah.
1500s, right? But how long have the Indians in the Midwest and West Coast been here before that?
Been there a while.
Exactly. So, we could get back into the 13 and 1400s, but we wouldn't understand a word those Indians would have said.
Yeah. Well, in Scotland, the entire town is from the 1300s.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a spot where you can go. I mean, the whole freaking place is.
Uh-huh.
That's what makes it so cool, And they've got the underground vaults you can go in, and I mean, you can climb up the hill to the top of Arthur's Seat, which is you can see the entire Edinburgh.
Right.
I was up there on the side of Arthur's Seat with a friend of mine, and we were getting these K2 readings right off the top.
Right.
Something got your attention over there?
No, I was looking around. I was looking for something here, but I don't see it right offhand. One of the paranormal equipment that K.D. Stafford built for me. The paranormal mad scientist from the Ghost of Morgan City TV show and Ghosts of whatever it was up there in South Dakota, up in Deadwood, up in that area. He lives down here in Independence, Missouri, Smithville, Missouri. He builds a radio that scans the frequencies in AM, FM, and shortwave that we use, and we can control the speed of the shift.
That's pretty cool.
It is
one thing that I've seen, and I'm sure you have because I know Tony Rathman's been on here. Have you seen the Staticom with him?
When Cat had a show with him and started showing and talking about that got my interest so piqued.
Me too.
Real quick.
Well, you know what happened? We were going, Tony Rathman and I and a whole bunch of other people were going to be at a Paracon in Tombstone. And I was talking to Tony and he was on, we could see each other. And he says, I said, yeah, that's really cool, that Staticom. And he goes, yeah, watch how cool it is. Who's going to be at Staticom with me? And he goes, Rick. And he goes, what's his last name? And he goes, McCallum. I'm like, oh boy, now this is cool.
I know. If anybody don't know what we're talking about, you can go back on Cats and Fake Magazine's YouTube channels, or go to the Billerites Network and check out the show with Tony Rathman. There's been 2 of them that I know of on there. And it's amazing. So amazing. You can look him up on YouTube and Facebook and see. Now, this is a device, a big device, that not every paranormal investigator out there is going to be able to get when they make it available. When? Yeah. And when they do, it's going to be, you might have to take a mortgage on your house.
It's going to be expensive.
Because of what it does and what it puts out.
Yeah,
it's some amazing. Of the most amazing sounds I've ever heard.
Yeah, when it said my whole name, he goes, "Who's come with me?" He goes, "Rick." And he goes, "Well, what's his last name?" It said Rick McCallum. I was like,
right.
Okay.
And this isn't noise in it and stuff like it. This is crystal clear.
Yeah, and there is no word bank in there either.
No. It's all green or white noise. And did he say green noise?
That I'm not sure of.
It's not brown noise. It's green noise or pink noise.
That may
mixed together, ran through different synthesizers and everything like that to where it's picked up.
Yeah, it's like talking to a person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
like
really
talking on a telephone to a person.
Oh, that reminds me of something. We were at Old Paulding Jail, and me and Lori were there, and Kat couldn't make it. But Kat had told me how much the spirits connected with her. So I said, well, let's see. And I got my phone out, right? And I called her. I said, hey, we're here. Try and talk to them. And they were answering every single thing that was coming through that she was asking. I was like, now you are one hell of a good ghost hunter when you could phone the ghosts. That was pretty cool. You know what else happened there? They were having a real hard time with one of the spirits there, and the sheriff who's in charge of the whole place kept going, "Get Rick, get Rick." I wasn't there, but that's what he kept saying. April, what is the double Estes method?
You don't know what the Estes method is?
I know what the Estes method is. I don't know what the double Estes method is.
2 people with the headphones on, with a device hooked up to it, asking questions, and they're saying it out.
I had one of the, I've said this on the show before, but it's still pretty cool. We were at the LAPD museum, Mikey and I and a few other people, and there was a young girl and her father. And I was, I keep an eye on everybody, and, they just didn't seem to be connecting. You know what I mean? Like one of them didn't want to be there, or, just something was off. And the father was going around to the different rooms and ghost hunting, and the girl was kind of standing there by herself. And she was trying to be into it, with her dad. And we started to do the Estes method. And I went down there and I said, would you like to do this? Just to get her involved. And she goes, yes, I would. She says, but can you make sure my dad's watching? I said, yeah, I'll get him. So I sent him up there, and Mikey's getting her all hooked up. And I get the guy, and he comes back, and he's standing down there. And she had one of the most intense sessions I've ever seen. And she got, everything at this place, the LAPD museum, is all the evidence from the big murders and everything else in LA. And she's going, there's a woman, a blonde woman. She's on the bed, and there's 2 men, and they're killing her. And everybody goes, oh, that's Sharon Tate. I said, that's not Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate got hung up and gutted, right?
Right.
I said, that's Marilyn Monroe, right? And right as I said that, she started getting spasms. So I took her out of it, right?
Right.
And I took her down to her dad, and this still gets me. Her dad just grabbed her and he goes, oh, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, yes. Yes.
Right. April said, yeah, it's when 2 people do it at the same time. It can also be done at 2 different locations at the same time.
That would interest me more if they were different places.
You watch Greg Koss, KOS, right? He does a show with him and three other people, and they do a double or triple estage method in 3 different states.
That's interesting.
As soon as I see it on there, I'll send you a link where you
Yeah,
can
do
watch
that. That's pretty interesting.
because
You know, fortunately, I have a member of Scottish Paranormal, and I'm also in their Hall of Fame. The only reason I talk about that is because I'm not in any other Hall of Fame, and I wanted to get it out there, right? But those guys, I would say, and I don't think anybody would contradict me, I think they're the best ghost hunting group in the world. I mean, it's almost twice a week they're going someplace. They've got vans for people to get in. I mean, it's all first class, and they built it up from the bottom and up and up and up. Matter of fact, Ryan O'Neill is on the show with Chris. I can't remember Chris's last name. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of his last name. But anyway, he's on that show with them. I think it's called Haunted Scotland. But these guys really, really know how to ghost hunt.
But I mean, there's so much, and just like, okay, you all know that I produce cat shows for her. I also produce shows on my network, the Bill O'Reilly Network, and stuff. But as a producer and as doing my podcast, you'd be surprised how many paranormal people I have met that I would have never ever got a chance to meet doing these live videos.
Yeah.
You know, I met Rick through Cat's show and stuff. And
Well, you can
started
blame her later.
No, yeah, but no. And, you know, as soon as Rick was on Cat's show and she started talking about him being a stuntman, I was like, really? First thing I did while doing the show, I pulled up another deal and I typed your name in to see what came up
Yeah,
and everything. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, he has.
I think there's 75 things there.
Yes, there is.
So,
And it's like, after the show one night, I asked Rick, what was the very first stunt show you ever did?
Remember what it was?
Yes, I do. Lone Wolf McQuade.
That was it. I got beat up by Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
And then later
And
on, I got beat up by Tony.
When he told me that, you know what I did? The next day, I watched Lone Wolf McQuade.
Oh, did you see me get beat up?
Just for that, I was like, there he is, right there.
Yep. Got kicked in the face, too.
Yeah. So that's what's cool about meeting people on these podcasts and talking to them and everything. It's like Mikey. I met Mikey on Cat's show. I got to meet Mikey in person up here in St. Joe, Missouri.
That's how he got the divining rods.
Yeah, that's how he got them. Because he was going to be in St. Joe with an investigation with a group. Me and Gary went up and had dinner with him and talked. So it's a lot of times getting back and forth through with a lot of the paranormal people. You know, you hope you get to meet them at a Paracon or at an investigation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you get to meet them right here. They come to you.
That's it. I get to talk to them before and after the shows live back and forth, just like we are. And
well, I'm sorry you had to talk and meet Mikey, but that's
Mikey's a sweetheart. He's a big
really is. He really is.
And I may get to see him before long more often.
There we go. Yeah.
Because he's talking about buying a place in St. Joe, Missouri.
Right, you hadn't told me that, but we
You
don't talk
got
about
off the show too early the other night. We talked about that after the show. He's looking to buy an old church up there and turn it into a house.
You know what? I almost bought a church in Scotland, in Coolross, Scotland, and it was on sale for $50,000. And it was a church, big church. And I called up the girl who was in charge of the whole place, Linda Whiteford. I said, Linda, would it be a good deal to buy that? She goes, you don't want to buy that. And I said, why not? It's a big church. It's only 50,000. She goes, yeah, but this is Scotland. You have to make about $1 million worth of improvements in that before you could move in. And your taxes every year will be about $30,000. And I went, I'm out. 30 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, they get taxed a lot.
Oh.
So I punted.
But no, Mikey's into restoring old stuff, and he's either going to buy an old building up there to restore and put a house in it, or an old church and make it his home base unit, you know, for when he's gone doing his nursing and stuff like that.
Well, I've got a friend up there. They're actually two girls. They're a couple, but they're a designer and a contractor, and they do houses all over the place, and they're really, really good. He should talk to them.
He should. But yeah, there's a lot of it. But, a lot of times we hope that sometime or another, like I said, we can see each other at a Paracon or an investigation or get together to investigate. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny the way you're saying that. You're talking about getting to meet all these people. I was standing on the set of this movie I was doing, and my friend Buddy Van Horn, who had directed 3 of Clint's movies, and he'd been his stunt double through the entire movie, all of his movies, his whole career. And I'm standing there with these guys, and I'm just thinking to myself, how the hell did I ever get here? But it was funny. I was like, wow, these are like the biggest stunt coordinator in the world, probably the biggest actor in the world, and they're hanging out with me for a little while.
You never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah.
Especially at Paracons. You never know who you're going to run into.
Well, I'll tell you a cool story. In the movie Project Metal Beast, I doubled Barry Bostwick, and he is fighting this giant metal werewolf. And Kane is the stunt coordinator. He goes, look, what are you going to do? He says, I don't want you to go flying and land in the boxes, because that's what all people do. They put cardboard boxes and land there. And I says, no, I got a great idea. And he goes, what? I told him, he goes, what? And I said, yeah. He says, are you serious? I said, yeah, put the camera over here and one over here, right? So we get there, and there are 2 young guys talking to Kane, because Kane wasn't in the scene, right? And I see him talking to him, and then the director yells action, and I went on a full sprint, went off a mini tramp, went up in the air, went upside down backwards, and hit this steel wall, and it was a steel roll down door. I hit that, and when I practiced it, it kicked me back, but I hit it so hard when I went full speed, I knocked it backwards, and I went straight down under my head on the concrete. And as soon as I hit, I spun around so you couldn't see my face, because I don't look like Barry Bostwick.
Right.
And they all come over and say, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm all right. Right? King goes, you all right? I said, no. Just landed on my head on the concrete. Right? But then they threw me into a whole pile of metal things, But it was so funny that I said, where's those 2 guys? What were they doing? He said, oh, they wanted to be stuntmen. I said, really, what happened? He says, they saw what you did and they left. So that was pretty cool.
How did you get into being a stuntman, like on Lone Wolf McQuade?
Well, I was lucky enough that I had been going to this one karate gym and met the guy that ran it. His name was John Barrett. He was one of the main stunt guys for Chuck. And I told him what I wanted to do. He goes, if I get a chance, I'll get you on. And he did. It was down in Texas. That's where I met Kane. That's how long ago I've known Kane. I've known Kane now for 44 years.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And I don't even look that old. And I lie a lot.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. Now, we kind of both lie about our age. So.
Oh, I don't lie about mine. I don't let people know what it is. I'm 54. That was part of the lying again.
You're 54, I'm 40. We'll put
Yeah,
it
okay,
down.
let's go with that.
We'll live with that.
Let's go with that.
My body tells a different story, but
Well, like I said, I've taken some of the most hellacious hits in the stun business, and I think the only part of me that doesn't hurt is my hair.
yeah,
So
my body, I raced stock cars for 15 years. Had some pretty good wrecks on dirt. I drove semi trucks for 20 years across country.
hopefully you catch those less than the stock car.
Beating my body left and right. Trucks weren't the most comfortable thing to ride in.
Especially the ones with the bouncing seats.
Yeah.
The next day you got a pain in your back like you can't believe.
Exactly.
Well, you know what's funny? When I lived in Oregon when I was 13, my dad had a quarter-mile dirt stock car track.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had two actually. The first time he rented the thing from a guy, and he said, "You'll never get it started," and it just blew up. He was getting money hand over fist, and when it ran out, he says, "Nope, I'm going to take it over." So my dad went over and built another one.
Wow.
So,
I know up here in this little town of Jamesport, which is an Amish community, outside of it, they had a quarter-mile dirt track that we all raced at. And to tell you how dangerous it was, using a steel metal stock car with a lap seatbelt that came with the damn car originally, right? A t-shirt with your elbow hanging out the window driving on the track, and a helmet. Helmet was the only safety equipment required.
I saw one crash, which I never thought I'd see. Two guys were, racing down the backstretch, and the transmission, not the transmission, what is it? The drive shaft came loose this way, and it hit, and it just flipped the car over end. Yep. But I just happened to be looking, I saw the thing come down, boom, and it caught into the ground, and just pole vaulted him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen that. I've seen that many a times. It's nothing to be going around the curve and be behind somebody in their drive shaft fall, like you said. All you see is this back end of this car going up in the air.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And you're going, oh, crap. Do I go this way? Do I go this way? Because when it lands over there, which way is it going to roll?
Yeah.
But,
look out!
So we got a couple more minutes left here tonight. So, Rick, tell everybody where they can find you and look you up.
Well, if you go to Facebook and go to my name, Rick McCallum, I'm there, and it's McCallum. And Ghosts Believe in Me, which was my book that won the Paranormal Book of the Year. Thank you, Jeremy York. And there's, those are the two best places to look for me. Ghosts Believe in Me and my name. And you know how I got the name Ghosts Believe in Me for my book? I was on a podcast. And the guy says to me, I'm going to be on for 2 hours. And the first thing he says, he goes, real snotty, you don't really believe in ghosts, do you? And I thought, okay, he wants to play this game. I said, no. He just sat there. I was like, now what are you going to do for 2 hours, wise ass?
Right.
And he goes, no, you don't believe in ghosts? I said, I don't have to. Ghosts believe in me. And then people kept saying, oh, you got to use that for the name of the book. So it just did it because the guy was being a smart ass.
Yeah. But anyway, folks, Kat should be back. I think she told me she'll be back for Wednesday's show. If not, I know she'll be back Sunday for sure on Fake Mag. So check them all out over on Things Network, Billerites Network, Kat's LinkedIn page, Kat's YouTube, Fake Mag's YouTube, Fake Max on X. Check them all out.
Paranormal Experienced.
Yep, on Wednesday night. So check all that out. Rick, thank you for having me on.
Well, thanks for having me. I mean, all I ever knew about you is you're the guy hiding in the back.
Yep, That's
But you got
it.
some you got to get out more. You got some really good stuff.
Right. So everybody have a good evening, and we'll see you next week somewhere here.
Thanks for letting me sit in for 2 weeks.
Right.
He is.
Night.